It's that time again.
What time?
The heat is in the air.
Oh, yes. It's very dense.
It wouldn't be summer or early, late summer, spring, late spring, early, mid-fall, whenever it is, that we weren't talking about how hot it is in the studio, which someday we'll fix.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, listener, if you hear a slight tinkling, that's me taking a sip of some fruit punch Mio because it is parched in here.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And just like a ventriloquist and his dummy, she doesn't say anything when I take a drink.
Stop it.
What a great time to cover. Speaking of covering, have you? I don't know. Did you hear about James Bond?
No, I have not heard about James Bond.
Well, he's a British secret agent for MI5.
Yeah, I know
he's
that.
MI6, whatever. Who can keep it straight? But that's not important right now. No, Danny Boyle will be directing the next James Bond movie.
I thought we heard a rumor of this like a while ago.
It had been rumored for a while, but now it's for real. It's going to really happen. And they've, of course, worked together previously. He and star Daniel Craig on the 2012 Olympics video that he directed. Remember that?
No, I don't.
Remember that? Yeah, and Bond, of course, will be Craig again for presumably his last time.
Yeah.
And he's set to receive a £50 million payday for this.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Do you know anybody who watches Bond films anymore?
I can't say that I do.
I was going to say besides your dad, but I know your dad, and I don't think he's ever been near a Bond film.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
But I was going to say I know people who...
But he's not like a TBS marathon watcher.
You could probably twist his arm, and you'd probably watch.
You're being very accommodating.
Well...
He's never owned any 007 themed gear.
Not gear, no.
Okay, all right.
But he does like a good Bond film.
All right.
But
I'll drop it because it's not getting us anywhere. But we'll continue this.
I know
mic.
people who don't watch Bond at all because they find him.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not condoning.
I know
the Bond lifestyle. I'm just reporting the news here.
I know you
Get
are.
off my back.
I'm not on your
woman.
Back. Hey, don't woman me.
Don't woman you. Don't unwoman you. How would I do that? Yeah. So anyway, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think you've
listen
said
for the tinkle.
when the last time we talked about this, that just about everybody who's British is going to want to direct a Bond film at some point or another. So why the heck not?
Yes. Bond is something that... So here's a funny anecdote from our lives.
Okay.
No, not funny. Haha. More funny like not funny. We were watching Deep Space Nine recently. And there was a scene taken from the perspective of the entire arc of the characters. Yes, I'm talking about Star Trek. That it's important. In the scene, or in the show, this episode is just kind of funny, but it's Julian Bashir, and Miles O'Brien are hanging out together, and they're singing like a British tar drinking song or whatever.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, that's a fun moment, but when you think about it, it's a good thing this is the 24th century, because you've got one guy who is Irish,
Yes.
not English at all,
Right.
and another guy who is, the actor isn't, but I think in the world of the show he's supposed to be Indian, or Pakistani. He's colonial, basically. You know? So two people who historically probably would have a couple issues to bring up with the crown, as it were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And yet they're like, British tar, that's a good time.
Right.
That all disappears when it comes to Bond. Anybody who has any remote connection to the British Isles, it would seem, they all love Bond. He's like, that's our guy. Now, I want these Tories out of here, and I'm going to blow up this car, but I'm in for that. Everybody seems to love James Bond, no matter what part of the Commonwealth you're from.
That's kind of a bizarre thing.
Well, it's like Captain America, like you could be the Molotov cocktail throwingist, take that World Bank, lefty, I don't know where I'm going with this, bike riding, crunchy granola Seattleite in the world, but you're probably like, throw that shield,
America.
get him, yeah.
Okay.
So he's their Captain America.
All right, I see.
And they have a Captain Britain
Yes, I do.
That's how much Captain Britain sucks. No, I love Captain Britain. Maybe we'll talk about him on the show one day. What show is that? It's the Just Enough Trope podcast. I'm your host, Caliban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana.
And we're back. We're back to wrap up this Star Wars goofinanny.
Yep.
Is that a word?
It is now.
We're going to talk about Solo, a Star Wars story today, and have a review of that film. Probably talk about a little Star Wars news during our news segment, which we'll be doing, and maybe a trailer review or two. And then also bringing back the old comic book club, at least for this show. And we're going to be talking about a trade paperback, the first 6 issues of the Image series Deadly Class.
Yep.
Which I actually talked about on the show about 18 months ago, solo, but we're going to talk. So, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about it together on the show and get our impressions, mostly because of the upcoming SyFy series.
Yes.
Produced by the Russo brothers. Speaking of Captain America, it's all connected. It's all connected. We planned it that way. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Cal.
Except for
the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm partially liquid.
Yeah, I'm sweating out the 80s.
Is that what it is?
Let's say yes.
What? Are you sweating to the oldies?
Maybe, yeah.
And the oldies are the 80s by now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when you grew up, but when I grew up, there was an oldies channel that played, How Much Is That Doggy in the Window?
Right.
And now that station plays Duran Duran.
Yes,
and
exactly.
It's like, oh my God, I'm really old.
I know.
But yeah, you could be sweating out the 80s. A lot of people were sweating in the 80s, whether it was aerobics or cocaine. We were all sweating something. So speaking of the 80s, we'll be sweating out something in Deadly Class when we talk about that. Let's get to the news. Well, just off the top of our news segment, let's talk about that Star Wars story, Rogue One. It's not Rogue One. That's a Star Wars story as well. It's called Solo. It is they say that it's struggling to reach its original projections at the box office.
Yep.
Looks like it's going to make about $84 million over the 3-day. And then if you add the Memorial Day weekend, which of course is a big movie weekend, or big movie day, it should make about $100 million, originally projected to go out to about $150 million. So it's underperforming as far as the projections go.
That's too bad.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the film when we get there. I think that I think they overprojected.
You think so?
Yes.
Just because it's a Star Wars movie?
Yes. The last 2 have come out at Christmas.
Yes.
I think Rogue One did better than they expected it to do.
Yeah.
And so when you have a quarter that's high, you project the next quarter higher.
Sure.
Whether or not that makes any sense.
Right.
We've sold all the widgets, and now we're going to have to make some more widgets. No, we're going to be fine.
Right.
And people are talking about like, oh, is this Star Wars fatigue? It's setting in. It's setting in. Is it? Will it ever?
I don't know.
I mean, we've talked about this. We'll probably talk about this later, but there'll be one of these forever.
Yes.
And so, yeah, maybe this is a new world that we live in where there's a Star Wars all the time and people are going to get sick of it. I don't know. But I think that it comes at a different time than we've been used to getting these Star Wars movies recently. And there's Infinity War is still on the board. Deadpool just came out.
Yep.
Jurassic World's coming out in like a week or 2.
Right.
So it's just like Han Solo. There's a needle to thread here. You got to turn the ship sideways and get right in there. And I don't think it was ever going to do better than this. I think that's probably all that they could really expect. It's a $100 million weekend.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's nothing to sneeze at.
No. Some kind of alien sneeze joke. I don't have one. It's nothing to pull the arms off of.
Oh, gosh.
There you go.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you're right. Like they're probably projecting to get something close to what they're used to around Christmas when there isn't maybe as many big movies out.
Yeah. Disney distribution chief Dave Hollis said, quote, "We're all over it. We're going to spend a lot of time digging into why things happened the way they did. We've got 1.5 years before episode 9 comes out."
Wow.
I just think that you need to expect that these non-saga movies are not going to do as well. I think, and apparently Solo cost, and of course they can blame themselves for this from the production side, but it cost around $300 million. So
Wow.
just in terms of profitability, this is really bad. I
Right.
think as far as having a movie, you've got an Ant-Man. You don't get too sad when Ant-Man only does $80 million in its first weekend. You go, it's Ant-Man. Like, we did it. We made... People came to Ant-Man.
Right.
I think that Disney is not used to not winning all the time, even though they're only losing to themselves.
Right.
Right? It's just,
That's true.
And they even get money off of Deadpool. So
Yep.
you can only compete against yourself when every movie at the multiplex is yours.
That's true.
And so I think that, I don't know, I wish that they, and we'll get into why I feel this way when we talk about our review, but I wish they wouldn't see this. I wish they would see this as, great, it's not a Force Awakens, it's not an episode 9, 10, 11, 12, but it did what we wanted it to do, which was it found an audience. The reviews are generally positive. You
Right.
know, it's added a new chapter to the story. Great. And then we'll do another one.
Absolutely.
No. You can't expect to come in and just rule the box office every time.
No, you can't.
You're not Fast and the Furious. For God's sake.
Oh.
Bad news. Here's some good news. Good news, everyone. Amazon has picked up The Expanse for
Woohoo!
a 4th season.
I'm so excited about this.
Now, all the headlines just say season 4, but I've also heard in other corners that it's, they're in for a pound. There will be a couple seasons.
Really?
I don't think the ink has been written on any deal like that yet at this point, because you've got the fall coming up or a new season of TV coming up. You just go, yeah, stop taking the sets apart.
Right.
And that's fine for now, and then we'll probably hash it out later. But yeah, when this went into turnaround, I think we talked about this in the last show, the whole campaign to save The Expanse, it was said that Amazon would be a good place for it to land. Jeff Bezos is apparently he wants to do the space thing too.
Right.
Because if you're a rich guy, you need a space program now. So hot.
Right.
But apparently he's a space guy. He's a fan of the show. And my thing is like, then how did we get here?
Yeah.
Why didn't you buy NBC Universal? And just, why didn't top to bottom just redo the network,
Right.
We'll talk about that when we talk about something else. And that's SyFy later on. But anyway, yeah, for now, saved.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about it.
From sure destruction.
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos is the proto-molecule, I think, in this situation. It's going to seem like something we want.
Uh-oh.
Then we'll all have glowing heads and we'll be walking around going, wow.
Oh, no.
And in the long run, not good.
That's too bad.
You're not a good person.
Oh.
You're not a good person.
That's too bad.
We talk about soldier delivery.
No, we did not.
Is it just where we live? Does everybody hate Amazon logistics as much? That's got to be a meme. If I go online, there'll be a meme about like, here's a butterfly. Is this delivery or something? And it's Amazon logistics, right?
Right.
It's like, but the butterfly's like, sorry, we missed you. We'll bring it back tomorrow. I'm working. This is a work in progress. This
Right.
is all happening. You're watching the wheels of creation spin right now. But anyway, I've learned to fear and hate those white vans.
Yes.
They're very bad at what they do. But I think in an attempt to get the heat off of how much people are frustrated with Amazon logistics and their bad delivery methods, they've rebranded by saying, like, I don't know, I think they bought or they're contracting with a local company, and everything's going to continue as usual, but now they're like called something different. They're called like patriotic delivery or something like that, something that
Right.
you can't attack. So people are like, oh, salute as it goes by. My package is still on there. He didn't stop, but gotta love our boys in brown or whatever their color is.
Oh, boy.
Let's talk about a different story. Do you want to talk about Bloodshot?
Sure. What's Bloodshot?
Good question. A lot of people are going to be asking that as the years go on. Bloodshot is a Valiant comic book character.
Okay.
Do you want to say what's Valiant?
What's Valiant?
Valiant is a comic company that I'm a little fuzzy on my history, but I know that they were around in the 90s when there were a lot of comic books. And then as a label, I probably jumped around in terms of ownership, but they sort of took a snooze, a little siesta.
Okay.
And now that comic books and nerd material is ascendant again,
Yeah.
they have returned in a big way.
Okay.
I know that Matt Kint, who's a superstar writer, was working on some of their titles, reorganizing their line, kind of rebooting everything.
Okay.
They have characters like Bloodshot. They have characters like X-Zone Manowar. Is Magnus Robot Fighter? Is he a Valiant too? Anyway,
I have no idea.
Bloodshot is a commando ninja. He's got swords. Think about like a not funny Deadpool.
Okay.
He's got nanobots that make him heal. He's Deadpool, but he's not funny.
Okay.
So if you're going to cast a not funny Deadpool, who is it?
Not Ryan Reynolds.
No, not funny.
I don't know. I give up.
What would be important to him besides his having good sword sharpener? Would it be family?
Yeah, it would be family.
Forget the Iron Giant. Did you forget his name?
Yeah, I did.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
Oh, Superman. Or whatever. Yeah, so Sony has made a deal with Valiant to produce some movies for their properties, and Bloodshot is one that was announced a little while ago. I don't think we even talked about it on the show. But it's moving forward with Vin Diesel in the main role as Blood Man.
All right.
Well, it's been announced that I never know how to say his name. I'm sure if I was more of a Bond fan, I'd know, but it's Sam Hewn. See, he looks like he's hewn from granite. He's the guy with the ding-a-ling from Outlander. He's the Outlander's boyfriend.
Oh, yes.
He has. It's been announced that he's joining the film.
Okay.
Also joining the film is Michael Sheen, because that guy's just got to be everywhere. I'm thinking British bad guy, huh?
Yeah.
And Isa Gonzalez, who played Neck Tattoo from Baby Driver. Oh, you need me to be more specific? She was female Neck Tattoo from Baby Driver. Everybody in Baby Driver had a neck tattoo.
Yeah.
You pull Kevin Spacey's Oxford down, neck tattoo. And you want to know what it says. You do not want to know what it says. Yeah, so that's that's interesting news. I guess it's going to be directed by a guy named Dave Wilson, who is he's from something called Blur Studios, which is the VFX factory that is owned by Tim Miller.
Okay.
So this would be like, wasn't Neil Blomkamp like connected to Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson for a while? Or maybe not, anyway. But Peter Jackson has Weta Workshop, right?
Yes.
So if people from Weta Workshop, and I'm sure this has happened, I just can't think of any names right now, went off and began their own careers, it's sort of like that.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, he's going to direct it. Tim Miller's also reviving the Terminator franchise, but that's not what this is. So anyway, yeah.
All right.
It's going to be a high-octane, Fast and the Furious style, bring that same audience in.
Right.
And he's going to be like, I'm here to shoot some blood, or whatever. I don't know if he's got a catchphrase. I never really read Bloodshot. I bet against Bloodshot.
Yeah.
And for 20 years, that was a good bet.
Yeah.
Because nobody heard hide nor hair of it. And now everything is coming up comic books. And there's a Sony Pictures movie. And we all know that Sony comic book movies are the best comic book movies.
Of course they are.
Yeah, they're always going to be the best. Speaking about movies and studios and their fortunes, it looks like the Transformers movie, the next Transformers movie, Transformers, I think we're up to 7, has been pulled from Paramount's schedule.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
That's not good.
Travis Knight's Bumblebee film will still come out this Christmas.
Okay.
But the Transformers 7, which is set for summer 2019, has been pulled from the schedule.
That's too bad.
I don't know anything else about it. I mean, I assume if you're you're about a year away.
Yeah.
You got to be at some point in production, right?
I'm assuming.
So it looks like it's not going to be on the schedule. Instead, they're going to release a Tiffany Haddish comedy. So same audience there, for sure. And yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with that.
That's weird. Was it Michael Bay? Do you know?
Who's directing it?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I assume, yeah.
Okay.
I haven't heard any differently.
All right. Well, I wonder what happened there.
I don't know. We were just talking about having I said Fast and the Furious as a joke, but really Transformers, yeah, the Marky Mark one, I guess, underperformed or whatever, but
right.
They just come out and make $750
lot of
million,
money.
and you go, great, see you next year, right?
Right.
And so the fact that this has come off the schedule for some reason does seem to speak to something. Can't we all agree, whatever the problem is, that we all want a lot of money?
Yes.
And want to keep making money.
Of course.
And keep selling Mountain Dew or whatever those movies, Budweiser or whatever it is,
Right.
Bud Light. But apparently, no, we got a problem with that.
That's bizarre. So first I've heard that there have been any problems with those movies. So
Almost made me spit my Mio out there. The only problem they've ever had with those movies?
well, I mean,
What about when one of the stars called the director Hitler?
oh, I didn't hear about
What about
that.
when one of the stars flipped his truck and almost killed himself and his girlfriend and did kill half of his hand?
Oh my, yeah,
What about when...
that's true.
yeah, there's been problems.
Okay.
It's like Deathbed 3000. I know people see these. I think the new thing now is to see them and complain about them, but still see them.
Okay.
And this is a tease. This is kind of a tease. If we're lucky, at Convergence this year, we're going to get to talk to somebody who has written and spoke extensively about these films.
Mm-hmm.
And that person, their pronouns shall remain neutral, but even by indicating, I'm just telling you, has quite a lot of opinions about the Transformers. But even it's still like a this thing kind of way.
Right.
But people still go see them.
Yeah.
And yet they're all terrible. So many people, thousands, literally thousands of people, spend billions of dollars making these films.
Mm-hmm.
They're all bad. And we all
Yeah.
look at each other and go, okay, fine.
Right.
What if they were good?
Yeah, that'd be great.
What if Akiva Goldsman didn't run the writer's room for them?
Yeah, that would be good too.
I can't get started on Akiva Goldsman.
I know you
I
can't.
can't do it. It'll be the whole show.
Yep.
And then I'll just hit stop and hit start again, still talking. Now it's the Star Trek show, complaining about Akiva
Right.
Goldsman. It'll never stop.
It will never, ever, ever stop.
We are doing a recap of the first season of Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, on the Star Trek show soon, so look for that. And more rants about Akiva Goldsman. We had some more Star Wars news, and I just walked right away from that. So we'll just go back into it, and then we'll probably wrap this up.
Okay.
Star Wars' Boba Fett is getting his own spinoff.
Oh boy.
Maybe. Why do they do this?
I don't know.
Why do they do this? Why do they announce that Rian Johnson is getting his own trilogy of films
Yep.
3 days before his movie comes out?
Yeah, I know.
And I think the ship ultimately righted, but at the time, rocky.
Yeah,
Half the fans didn't want to hear that he had his own trilogy he was working on.
that's true.
And then here they come around and go, Boba Fett, getting his own movie.
Yep.
Right before the movie starring the character that he's the only reason that... it's his only connection to the Star Wars universe.
Yep.
Other than Jabba the Hutt, is Han Solo, Boba Fett. He's getting his own spinoff.
Right.
Is he?
Apparently.
I don't know if Solo's getting his own spinoff at this point. So, yeah. But anyway, he's supposed to get his own spinoff. It will be written and directed by James Mangold.
Who is who?
Mr. Wolverine.
Mr. Wolverine?
He wrote and directed... Well, I know he probably contributed to the script for The Wolverine and last year's smash Logan.
Well, I love Logan.
Yeah, what happened? Because the Wolverine sucks.
Yeah, the Wolverine is terrible.
And I think I actually... Did we talk about it on the show?
I don't know.
There's so many shows.
We talked about Logan. I know
We
we
need
talked
a
about Logan.
show historian.
Yeah.
I think I broke down... We found the weak link.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because these are all written by 4 people.
Yeah.
And usually it's like the director or the star, in the case of Ryan Reynolds, has input.
Right.
Then you've got the 1 or 2 guys who have they made a show in their backyard and now they're making $200 million movies.
Right.
And they're not any good. And then there's usually one guy who, like a Steven D'Souza or some guy who's been in Hollywood forever, who's probably came on and punched it up after the 2 idiots were done with it.
Right.
So anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Somehow we got Logan, which is not bad.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
So they're thinking it's good enough to give him a Boba Fett film.
Oh boy. I don't know. I mean, Boba Fett doesn't really have a whole lot that he does in the movies.
He does not.
So how are they going to make a whole film out of him?
It's called writing.
Okay.
and a script and a character.
Yep.
And not to spoil our Solo review, and we're about 90 seconds away from it, but I'm excited at the chance to take a character we don't know anything about and build something.
Okay.
Instead
sure.
of, how did he meet Chewbacca?
Right.
Oh, like that. All right, great.
Right.
So there's how much of the movie left? Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
He won the Millennium Falcon, you say. Well, I wonder if we'll get to see that card game.
Yeah.
I'm excited about, a character who people are obsessed with has, I don't know, it's written down somewhere, but it's literally, it might not be double digits of screen time in the original trilogy.
Right.
And, Logan is an anti-hero, so he already knows that sort of business.
Yep.
So he'll be a real rough and tumble. Maybe they'll push a sort of PG-14 kind of thing.
Maybe.
Getting
as
through
far as the Star Wars movie goes.
Slums of Nar Shaddaa. He's going to be beating guys up for information and sticking thermal
Right.
detonators in their mouths.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Stuff like that.
Maybe.
Get Dengar back.
Who's Dengar?
Dengar's the guy that wears all the bandages,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
Get him and Forlom.
Sure.
Forlom is the assassin droid.
Okay.
For love of money is what his name stands for.
Oh my gosh.
And a Bosk. You can't do without a Bosk.
Okay.
A Trandoshan bounty hunter.
Okay.
I'm just laying the better rice for the sesame chicken that is our Solo review.
Okay.
Hello, me, my problems. I only miss you when I'm with you. Gotta fly far, the jet around town. Gone sour to the bone, gone bad to the marrow. Financial situation.
Solo, a Star Wars story. The new film from the Kathleen Kennedy / Lucasfilm / Disney / Galactus devouring the Earth. We are all one. Resistance is futile. Conglomerate. Starring Alden Ehrenreich, Emilia Clarke, Childish Gambino, as he likes to be known,
Yes.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Stop me when I get one wrong. I'm still going. Paul Bettany and Woody Harrelson.
Yep.
As the Beaver. What happens in Solo, a Star Wars story?
In Solo, a Star Wars story, Solo is a rapscallion from...
Delicious.
I can't remember where they're from.
Corellia.
Yeah. They he escapes off of Corellia. But I mean, is this a spoiler or whatever?
We've only done this 100 times.
I don't know.
No, just so what's...
He escapes off Corellia, but he swears he's going to come back. He meets some nefarious characters along the way.
Okay, all right, now you're getting into it.
Yeah.
And how do you wrap it up? Here's how you wrap it up. You don't dig a hole for yourself in the first place. It goes like this, right?
Yep.
Han Solo, the scruffy nerf herder that we all know and love.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. He's the world's fastest pilot
Yep.
and the world's flashiest scoundrel with a gun and a smile. But
Yep.
how did he get to be that way?
Yep.
What are the events, the people in his life, the circumstances that made him that lovable rogue with a heart of gold?
Right.
In Solo, we find out.
That's right.
Kind of. And that's a tease into our actual review. This film, let me preamble here. When you talk about having no expectations, I had none.
Okay.
Absolutely none.
All right.
I very disliked Rogue One.
Yes.
I was very conflicted, tilting towards dislike Last Jedi. So we're two down at this point.
Yep.
You know, Casey is at the bat here.
Yep.
The outlook wasn't brilliant for the Kathleen Kennedy 9 that day.
Right.
Casey at the bat, that's what I'm quoting.
Yep.
And so came in, not good. Now let's get some other stuff here. The guys that made Clone High, fired.
Yep.
The main actor, apparently not very good.
Yep.
The Queen of Dragons, also not great.
Yep.
Woody Harrelson at this point, I mean, I like him, but his presence means nothing in a movie. Like, that movie could be good or bad no matter what.
Yep.
And then, now the story of a man brought in to save his friend's film, even though his friend doesn't own the company anymore.
Right.
It's Ron Howard, what are you doing? You can do anything. Why are you doing this? Mm-hmm. So also at signs point to no.
Yep.
The fact that I did not spontaneously combust when I stepped into that theater is the movie's first tick in the good column. Do you know what I mean? Like, that, okay, things are looking up.
Right.
And I was thoroughly pleased. I was very enjoyed. I had a very good time watching this film.
Oh, good.
Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Are there huge problems? Well, huge. There are problems. And does it do that thing that I hate, which is like, hey, it's Star Wars! Star Wars! Star Wars! Where you're watching a fun movie and everything's going great and you're having a good time, and then some kid in front of you stands up and starts waving his lightsaber in your face.
Yeah.
And you're like, sit down, sit down, sit down. And then it's like, oh, we're having fun again. And the kid gets up again.
Yep.
Yeah. A little bit of that. What'd you think of Solo, a Star Wars story from Star Wars, the story of Star Wars?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie. Not the favorite that I've seen, so far this spring, but I think it was pretty good. It was solid film.
So do you care to tell us more? How is it solid?
It was. I mean, the story.
Are you worried about spoiling stuff?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is this going to be the shortest non-spoiler ever? If we cut out right now and start talking about spoilers, would you have more to say?
Probably.
Okay. Well, I want to hear what you have to say. So let's try to give let's try 2 positives and 2 negatives, spoiler free. Then we'll give our recommendations or lack thereof, and then we'll talk spoilers because it is part of a franchise that's 45 years old now or whatever. So it would be tough to not spoil anything.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Thumbs up.
Paul Bettany was great.
He was.
I really enjoyed him in this. He was enjoying himself.
Yes.
That was evident.
Dring, drong, drong. I don't know any of these characters' names.
He was like Dresden?
It's Dryden Voss. I actually do know
Voss.
his
There we
name.
go.
I was doing a bit.
Okay.
But I really don't have any confidence that I know their names because I don't know what it is if they've gotten real lazy at these names. But at this point, I don't think my name can hold, or my brain can hold
more Star Wars names?
Name brains. Star Wars names anymore.
Yeah.
I was okay with Dengar and Bosk, but if you want me to remember, I remember Kira, but did you know that Kira is QI''RA?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Because otherwise it's just Death Note, I guess.
Because I was going to say there's a Kira in Star Trek, so,
Oh.
Yeah.
Why did I go to Death Note?
I don't know.
And you went to Star Trek.
Yes.
And you got Mia, and I got you.
Oh.
And they take cyanide and kill themselves
No.
on Christmas. Okay, yeah, that was a good one. Paul Bettany. Oh, it's my turn. Alden Ehrenreich. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine. Right before we went in, actually on the show last week, I think I said, it doesn't matter if he's good or bad. He could be terrible and this movie would be fine. Because it's clearly not going to be... I've seen a lot of reviews saying, and nobody attacks... We've gotten to the point, I think the storm is blown over because this is not going to help his career. I kind of smell a little Taylor Kitschy on this guy.
Sure.
And I don't think he deserves it. Taylor Kitsch deserved it, though. But nobody's talking about his performance, but nobody likes the character. Like, this isn't Han Solo. It's like, but that's the whole point. He's not supposed to be cool.
Yep.
He's supposed to be kind of a screw up.
Yep.
And I thought whether or not Alden Ehrenreich is playing well a guy who's in above his head, or if he is literally a guy that's in above his head.
Right.
It's good casting,
Yep.
if that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And having being opposite Amelia Earhart or whatever her name is means that who's going to notice?
Right.
Neither of you are really all that great.
So maybe that was well
This
cast.
is in Laurence
on their
Olivier and Meryl Streep here.
Right.
So, yeah, well cast. Another good thing.
I liked how he met Chewie. I thought that was really good. Although I'm a little disturbed by the...
Well, how spoilerly is that going to be?
Well, maybe that'll be spoilery.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'll just say I liked how they met.
Okay. Another one of mine.
Yep.
I think that no, it's all good. So we can say good. I think that Rogue One was described as a war movie set in the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Right.
No. This was a heist movie set in the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
I thought it could. It's supposed to be good. It's still good. I thought it could have been more. I think they could have done more with that. It could have been more Danny Ocean-y.
Sure.
But for what they did, I think they set out to do that. There's crosses and double crosses, and are we going to get this? And you got to get this at the right time. And oh no, what happened? And you got to get this, and we got to get the thing. And yeah, I thought it was, moved along, and it was galaxy spanning and intrigue, and yeah, it's good.
Yep.
How about a bad thing?
A bad thing. It shouldn't be that hard.
Well, that's actually good for the movie if you have to think about it. Want me to do mine first?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. On the other side of that heist movie coin, it was a pretty good heist movie that kept getting interrupted by a Star Wars movie.
Yep.
There are elements, specifically the, hey, how did Han and Chewie blah, 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 like those moments. And there's also, hey, remember, we're in Star Wars, remember? Like all the little ties to other films, or the little name-droppy Easter eggs weren't so bad, but there were a couple moments where it was like, oh, geez, fine, we get it. It's Star Wars. Like,
right.
I was having fun on this new planet that I've never heard of, and you have to go, oh, this is just like little Beggar's Canyon back on Tatooine next to that little cantina run by Whirrer. Did you hear a guy got his arm cut off in there? Some crazy old space wizard?
Right.
All right, come on, get back to the film. And then they did, and it was fine. It's called Dead Air.
I'm gonna say, but this is kind of spoilery. The way they treated L3 in the end.
Oh, okay. Are you talking specifically about? Let me help you clean this one up.
Okay.
About and I don't even remember Alan Tudyk's droid character's name in Rogue One.
I can't remember his name.
But there's
either.
a similar character in this.
Yep.
But instead of just kind of taking it as like, okay, do what we say, droid guy.
Right.
This character, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, has an expanded role, and you felt like, that was a good instinct, and they didn't kind of go all the way with it.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about that without spoiling it.
We'll pick up on that a little bit later.
Okay.
The one that I mentioned. So I wouldn't normally say this, but everybody is getting woke these days. We're all waking up.
Yep.
If that's the infinitive form of woke or whatever. I know it literally is, but I don't know if people say that. They probably don't. Star Trek's been doing this since its inception.
Yep.
But now it's cool to do this. So in 1977, you have a small group of white people who are fighting against a large hegemonic group of white people. Mm-hmm. That's social shorthand. We all understand that.
Right.
1 year after our bicentennial, like, we're Americans. We get that.
Mm-hmm.
Now everything has to be a little more crenellated in terms of like detail. So it's like you're seeing more people of color. You're seeing more economic disparity. You're seeing those kind of things. Mm-hmm. And they introduce an element of that into this, where, without really spoiling anything, at one point they get to this planet where there's a bunch of people who are clearly victims of the Empire.
Yes.
And all the actors are played by actors of color.
Mm-hmm.
And they are coded to be like this underclass.
Yeah.
And that element of the story is very underserved. It reminds me of Blade Runner 2049, where we're told constantly that there is this like robot, revolution, this replicant revolution.
Right.
And then there's like one scene where a brown guy walks out and a lady walks out, and it's like, we're an army, we're ready to fight to back the people or whatever. And you're like, all right, but where have you been this entire film?
Right.
Oh, now you're leaving now? Okay, we're back to the white guys punching each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of had that
yeah.
going for it. I liked the instinct, and this is just going to continue. I mean, they had this in Last Jedi as well. They have it in Rogue One. I guess they had a kind of a multicultural team, but
Yeah.
whatever. Go all the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're going to rip off Star Trek, and you are,
Right.
rip off the good parts.
Yep.
Rip off the best parts.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
I would
think?
agree.
What about you? Go.
I guess I would say similarly, there's a character that they have a surprise twist with this character. And it's kind of like, okay, I get that this is a twist, but why this twist?
Come on, baby.
Why are we
Why
doing
this
this?
twist?
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
What is the purpose here? How is this serving the greater story?
Yeah.
And without making spoilers, it just doesn't totally sit well with me. I mean, it's kind of an interesting twist, but they don't really take it further. I mean, It's like a visual gag almost. A visual twist. And then
A twist of the gag,
yeah,
if you will.
right. But then they don't really do anything else with it.
Yeah.
So it kind of falls like a lead balloon.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But nobody else does.
Yeah, I know.
So before we talk about that, recommendations. Would you recommend this film?
I would recommend this film. I thought it was fun. Like you said, it was a good heist movie. So
I absolutely would. I think it was a fun adventure. If someone like me with the most baggage of anybody with these films and this franchise could put it down for a second and honestly laugh out loud at quite a few moments in the film and be really transported until the film breaks its own hyperdrive and keeps reminding you're watching a Star Wars film.
Right.
Yeah, let's see that Kessel Run. It's good. I really did enjoy it, and I really would recommend it. So check it out. Okay, spoilers.
yep.
What do you want to talk about in terms of spoilers?
I like the way that
You
how
work it.
Chewie and Han met. Although
I didn't.
You didn't?
I don't know what else they would have done. It's established. Here's what I don't like when you adapt stuff.
Okay.
And they did this recently. We've definitely touched upon it on the show, where they binned, as they say in the UK, they binned all the extended universe stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that so they'd have an open canvas to write on. But as they did that, they went, well, there's also characters that people have loved and read about for 30 years.
Right.
That, why not just take that? Why not
Right.
use that?
Mm-hmm.
So, welcome back, Grand Admiral Thrawn. You're back in canon. Whoever else. And so you're always going to do that with some stuff and not other stuff. But why change Solo's origin just to do it? Why not dramatize what we know and then just fill in the details?
That's true.
And I think for years it had been assumed that, not assumed, it was in the Crispin books, I think, that Han and Chewie met because Han was an Imperial pilot, and the Imperials were transporting slaves. Some of the slaves were Wookiees, and that was a bridge too far for a young Han, and so he freed the Wookiees, and one of the Wookiees was Chewbacca, and so
Okay.
I guess that was the life debt.
Why? I don't know why they couldn't have done that then, but
Yeah, because I kept looking for the spot where Han was really going to save Chewie's bacon, and this doesn't appear on screen, so maybe they're retconning this too. But it's always been, you're still hanging out with this loser? Like, why does Chewie hang out with Han? It's because he owes him a life debt.
yep.
Getting him out of the mud hole was a life debt or something?
Apparently.
It's like, we kind of got each other out. In fact, I literally threw you out of the hole. So why am I following you everywhere? But I like the fact that at first, there's a lot of things in the film. This is one of my good wag of the finger, point of the dog, or whatever it is.
Okay.
Good bad thing, which is there's a lot of things that the movie's just going to have to go here. We're going to have to play Sabacc for the Falcon because it's a Han Solo origin movie.
Right.
But they found ways to make it interesting or change it. But then there's other things that they're locked into still. So I wasn't a huge fan of the pit escape thing. because it reminded me of the Rancor, and I think they did that on purpose.
That's true.
It's like poetry; it rhymes.
Oh God.
Yeah. Do still like it? But I did like the fact that, all right, so they're both free. They don't know each other at all. Why would they stay together? And it's because Chewbacca is a naked, muddy Wookiee in the middle of an Imperial camp, and Han knows that there's a ship leaving soon. So he's like, look, we're chained together. Let's just get to this ship, and then we can do whatever we want later.
Right.
And it's that sort of like, we're forced to work together. Of course, later on, we'll decide to work together. That works fine.
Right.
You've got something at the beginning of the movie, which is like, we really love each other, and we're never going to let each other go. And oops, they closed a door between us. And now, no! Oh, I should get on board this ship.
Yep. I know.
And I'm always going to want to come back. And he never does. As a motivation, it doesn't matter. Because she gets out on her own.
Yep.
I know the way that she gets out leads her into a life of slavery and servitude and all that stuff, but that element just never... It's not like the entire thing he just feels bad because he didn't go back. She just goes, oh, I got out. How? I don't want to talk about it. And they never do, and the movie just continues.
That's true.
So why did they have to ever be connected in the first place? Do you know what I mean? It's not important.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a huge coincidence that he goes off, he meets Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson's boss is this crime lord that she happens to work for.
Right.
How small is this galaxy?
Yeah.
What if she was just some hot chick that worked for him? And she's like, I see something in this guy. And then she gets to know him more, and she's like, I was wrong. You don't know anything.
Right.
But later on, like, learns to trust him and then falls in love with him a little bit. And then, you know, spoilers, has to betray him at the end because Darth Maul's back.
Right. I know.
That's... Kid, sit down. Sit down. Extinguish your lightsaber.
Well, one thing that disturbed me a little bit about how he met Chewie is there was somebody's armor in the mud pit. So we're supposed to think that Chewie has eaten.
Chewie has absolutely eaten somebody. He has eaten a sentient being before this.
That kind of like disturbed me a little bit.
That's pretty dark.
Yeah,
and it's never explored.
Kids.
There's a lot of things that are suggested and not explored, and some of them are good. I'm glad that we didn't have to take a Trolopsian microtube to... I don't know, I'm trying to get into the spirit of things. I'm glad we didn't have to, like, examine everything in detail, but there are some things that, like, you probably should have thought about that before you did that, because that makes no sense.
Right.
Yeah, I speak a little Wookiee.
I know.
What?
I mean, it was kind of funny, but...
No, it wasn't. It was like an SNL skit. Because Chewie, it's established... We have to... And I think actually in the books, and I'll try to keep my uttering of the phrase in the books to about a half a dozen for this review.
Okay, sure.
But in the books, it's established that he worked on a freighter when he was growing up, and the cook on the freighter was a Wookiee, and so he got to know this guy, and that's how he learned Wookiees. So we're okay there. Yeah, that part was fine. Like, yeah, all right, he's a rough and tumble kid. He worked in this... Also, Oliver Twist orphanage?
Yeah, I know.
But he worked in this orphanage with a lot of different races. I could believe that he could pick up some Wookiee here or there.
Sure.
But to understand, not to speak. And we never examine why Chewie knows basic.
That's true.
How do he knows people talk?
Yeah.
Which means that he would never have to go. I just kind of I don't know how they would do this, but I wanted a point where Chewie just turns in and was like, not cool. That's my growling language is not your prom dress. Do you know what I mean? Like, you just talk in people talk, okay? And I'll do the howling here.
Yeah.
It's like saying the W word. That's just for us.
What's the W word?
Well, if I said N word.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right.
Okay.
Like you don't get to go around. That's me.
That's true. Okay. I see your point.
It also, if you've got a mask that's just got two holes in the back of the throat so the guy can breathe, it's one thing. I don't question who's going right. But when it's the guy from Hail Caesar doing it, I'm like, wait a minute, it's all falling apart now. And those are those quote unquote bad parts of the film for me. Is like whenever they stopped to do a Star Wars thing, it started to fall apart.
Yep.
Like I actually liked Mama Midnight or Lady Proxima or whatever, like the worm lady that lived in the pool or whatever. It's like, okay, that's kind of weird. And clearly we all got the note about practical this and practical that, so it's fun. And then he's like, I'm holding the thermal detonator. It's a rock.
Right.
I wonder if we'll see that trick later.
Right.
It's like, what? And all you had to do was just break a window? They must execute any kids who are playing baseball down the street.
Absolutely.
If they break a window, we're in trouble. Dumb.
I didn't like how the Imperial Guard named him Solo. I didn't like that. I feel like he should have come up with that.
I have a big love and yeah. Well, yeah. I have a big, even though it's pretty easy to come up with if you just sit for 2 seconds.
I know.
I had a big love and hate with all of those elements because that was what I really dreaded going in, which was how does he win the card game? How does he get his name? How does he meet Chewbacca? These are all things I don't want to see at all. I don't. It's literally about George Lucas and a bag of rock salt.
Yep.
And killing him with a shovel at midnight. We're back home now.
Yep.
I don't care about any of this stuff.
Yep.
But they did it, and it was all so minor. You could have an entire act that's just a Texas Hold'em game between him and Lando over the ship or whatever. I like the fact that they were really quick.
Yep.
But then if they're going to be really quick and tossed off, why do them at all?
I don't know.
You wanted to do them.
Right.
So how come you're not making a big deal out of it?
Right.
Now, why am I criticizing you for kind of sticking the landing if you also broke your ankle like Carrie Strug style when you did it? So, yeah, it is a little... That was fine. I didn't mind that somebody else made it up and he's just like, I don't know, it works. I'll just keep doing it. But later on, he becomes an outlaw. Outlaws sometimes like to change their names.
So that they're not recognized.
Literally use the name that's in the system given to him by an officer of the Empire that he was trying to avoid while he's smuggling stuff.
Exactly.
It's just it's like printing your social security number on the side of the Millennium Falcon. It just doesn't.
It makes no sense.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
No. It's not very smart, Han.
It's time now, if they're going to keep making these films, and I read, or at least I saw the title. This is the new, I read an article. I saw the title of an article.
Sure.
Talking about how Star Wars is trying to make a Disney universe.
Okay.
And it's like, all right, that makes sense. Here's what the Disney universe did, though. They don't really care what's in the comics. They do. They have fun Easter eggs, and it provides a framework, but they kind of do their own thing.
Yeah.
Sam and Cap met outside the Washington Monument, and not, I don't know, wherever they... Sam Wilson is a problematic character in the comics. Yeah. It's not Snap Wilson. It's not great.
Oh, boy.
Look it up. That's what they need to do. But Star Wars is so tied to, and I know I just said they got rid of the extended universe, but they're tied to that. They're tied to their own holy text, which is the original trilogy.
Yeah. That
they need to treat that more like a framework, which I think the best parts of this film do, and go off on their own for, wing it for other stuff, like Han Solo would. But one thing I think they need to do is they need to get the politics of the galaxy right. If we're going to hang around and have... They do that a little bit in this movie with the organization of the crime families or whatever.
Yeah.
There's the Shadow Consortium, which is run by Darth Maul, that has the... Let's see if I can do it. Crimson Dawn, the Black Sun, which is like they're just both two kinds of suns. The Masters of Terras Kasi, that's not one. Okay, I can't do it. But the point is that every time I see a stormtrooper, it's like, are these new stormtroopers? Are they old stormtroopers? Like, what year are we in?
Right. How
old is Han? This movie's making me realize that, like, there's a significant age gap between him and Leia.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird.
Yep.
Which was true in real life.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think they need to... Whenever I start a Marvel movie, I know, okay, I remember. So the Triskelion was blown up after Cap and Falcon, like, destroyed the... Alexander Pierce's plans to whatever.
Right.
And so Spider-Man's taking a bus trip to D.C., and they're still... Some of the roads are closed because Cap blew them up.
Right.
When you jump into a Star Wars story, I'm like, is there a Death Star being built? Is Darth Vader looking at it somewhere? Like,
right.
I think we need to sort of establish the politics more. We know there's an empire, and we know there's some good guys that are like, I don't like this. But how does the rest of the universe isn't caught up in that?
Right.
So how do they live their lives day to day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
They have oysters and hang out, and he had a cape too, didn't he?
Yeah, kind of. He had kind of like a.
I'm sad to see him
Talking
go.
about Paul Bettany.
I want a
He had
Dryden
like
Voss.
a-
I want a Dryden Voss movie.
He had like a half shoulder.
One of his sleeves was a cape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Let's talk about the guy with the cape.
Okay. Lando.
Yes, Lando.
Okay.
Childish Lando.
Childish Lando. Yes. I thought he did a good job.
This is Corellia. Don't catch you slipping. Oh, okay.
I thought Lando's love for L3 came through.
Now I know why they were doing so many interviews about like, yeah, I'd bang a robot. Why not?
Oh my gosh.
Why is this part of the conversation? Because it's
L3
heavily
brings it
coded
up.
that they are like a couple.
Yeah.
And then this is just a writer thing, but it's a great bit we've seen like, oh, I love my master. I'm the robot. And in this, the robot pulls the girl aside. She's like, we can chat. We're just girls. Lando
Right.
really likes me, but I don't think it's going to work out.
Yes. It was great.
Rogue One has nothing like that.
No, it doesn't.
It's just that scene alone makes it better than Rogue One.
Yes. It was really great. I liked Phoebe a lot as L3. I think she did a good job.
She was on set, do you think, in a
Mocap?
golf ball costume?
Maybe.
Probably. She's tall.
She's very tall.
I could see her doing that sort of bow-legged kind of arm swing and walk like the robot.
Yeah.
She probably was in a mind group in college.
Probably. I liked that L3 was all about freeing droids and
Boy.
all this stuff. And
Which, again, now we can get back to the things that we are frustrated with.
Yep.
I guess I don't know where you go with that unless there's an L3 movie. But
Yeah.
have that resolve in a fun way.
Yep.
Don't have her achieve her
blown.
dreams of robotic rebellion.
Yep. And get blown
Get her
up.
head blown off.
Yep.
And then get her brain ripped out
Yep.
and shoved into the Millennium Falcon.
Because that's what she would have wanted.
Enslaved to the hard drive of the Millennium Falcon forever.
Yep.
The exact opposite of what she always wanted.
Yep.
And then if you think about these films in chronological order, later on C-3PO goes, I don't know where this dumb bitch learned to talk.
Wait.
In Empire Strikes Back, they take the compressor in the back, plug him in the hyperdrive, and he's like, I don't know where your hyperdrive learned to communicate, but it's got a very strange way of dialect or whatever. That's L3.
Oh my gosh. Right.
See what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, the whole political aspect of this, it's like woke, but only one eye's open, or it's like woke, but hasn't had a cup of coffee, sleep in the eye still.
Yep.
You go to, and I don't know any of the dumb planet names. I don't know any of them. You go to the desert planet, which means poor. We know that from Star Wars. We know that from Force Awakens. We know that from you could have poor people on a tropical planet,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Ice planet. It's salt.
Yep.
Um,
Oh boy.
yeah, we're not going backwards. And they're all people of color. Like I said, that's cool. Then we find out that Imran Vess or whatever is apparently one of them or something.
Yep.
Which I didn't find to be clear, and I haven't looked it up yet, but that's what you say, so it makes sense. I'm going with you. And they're like, yeah, we don't like this. And it's like, all right, got anything else to say? No. It's kind of suggested that we're the rebellion, or we will be part of the rebellion at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you're just paying yourself, Han Solo, when
Right.
years later you get a reward for saving a princess.
Yep.
Star Wars! It's Star Wars! Yeah, we got it.
Yep.
What do you think about Han shooting first? And, like, he did shoot first. He shot first forever.
Like,
Before
so
he
hard.
even met Greedo, he shot first.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of paints our hero in a dark light.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of makes him ruthless in a way. I mean, I know
He's not a good guy.
that Woody Harrelson double-crossed him, and he even praises him. He's like, "Oh, it's good, kid. I would have shot you."
Yeah. Yes, he's like, no, that's good. Good shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Way to go.
Yeah, Woody needed to do something really bad before, because if he's he's the guy in the beginning of Last Crusade, who gives Indy the hat or whatever. If he's the proto Han Solo,
Yep.
and Han Solo's like, all right, like, I don't want to be a good guy, but there's some things that I don't want to do.
Yep.
We needed to see Woody do something really bad, and not just because. And this is all screenwriting 101. They worked really hard on this. Like when you first see Woody meet Dryden Voss, and Woody's name is Tobias
Beckett.
There you go.
Yep.
Which is not a very Star Wars name.
It's a very British name.
Yeah.
And he's not British.
No. But he's very differential. You know,
Yep.
He's like, we know that this guy's got all the swagger in the galaxy, but he's scared of Oyster Guy, so Oyster Guy's bad news.
Right.
And that's all setting up the end where Woody's like, look, man, I'm not going to go against this guy. It's nuts.
Right.
I'm kind of on Woody's side. Like, Han's plan is crazy. It's a stupid plan.
It is a stupid plan.
And so we needed, once again, we've got Emilia Clarke. Why does she have to make it out of the end of the movie? No offense. What if he shoots her or something like that?
Wow.
You know, we need him to do something really bad. So later on, when Han commits murder and kills him,
Yep.
we go, well, he had to.
Right.
Because you got the drop on him. Shoot his gun hand. Shoot him in the leg.
Yep.
He could have done anything.
Yep. You could have maimed him.
Yeah.
Instead of like shooting him in the heart. Like a ruthless
just
guy.
kills him. Yeah. Which I'm fine with. But this movie sets up, and why does this work in Rogue One? Doesn't work in your mind. Here's why. Because this is just a romp. This is supposed to be fun. This isn't supposed to be like, help! This is so real. Space Jimmy Smits is crying.
Yeah.
This is just supposed to be fun. I wish that they had landed these beats, but they know that there is a morality play here in the inception of this character Han Solo.
Right.
And I don't know if it's the change in the script and the directors or whatever, but they never land it. And they take a couple times where the Falcon, if you will, lights on a branch, and they stop and they try to go, here's a scene that comes out of nowhere where we're in a tent and she's like, you're a good guy. I'm not a good guy.
Right.
Hasn't been a question throughout the entire film. I mean, it is. The entire film is supposed to be about us finding out if he's a good guy or not.
Right.
But it has no connection. There's nothing plot thread that stretches back to when they were kids, and he was doing bad things or good things or whatever it is.
Right.
They keep coming back in to tell you and not show you that we're trying to figure out if he's a good guy or not.
Right.
And so when he finally kills Woody Harrelson, we just don't know how to feel. It's like, wow, I don't think he had to shoot that guy
Right.
like that. And that's the movie's fault. They don't land that. Now, I don't know. Maybe I should care more about that. I still think that, it's as far as a list of things that happen on screen, it's a fun film. But they do not land that at all.
No, they don't.
Sadly.
It is sad. It kind of, and I think you've mentioned before, it's kind of like the penultimate or the cliffhanger. The cliffhanger of the movie.
What is?
When he shoots Woody Harrelson.
You mean the climax?
That's what I meant. The climax, not the cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's a climax.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be, it's the emotional climax.
Yeah.
And instead, the climax is split between that and it's Star Wars. It's Star Wars. Wow, Darth. That's the credits are rolling, and I got up, and you looked at me like, "Who are you getting up?" I'm like, "This isn't a Marvel movie.
There's not going to be an end credit scene."
No, their post credit scenes are in the movie.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that Darth Maul scene after the credits?
I don't know.
It was in the middle of the not just the third act, the climax of the film. They're like, here's a new character.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
No, you don't.
Because then you get an unsatisfying thing where she's just looking out a window and Han Solo thinks, as far as I know, I think he thinks that he's going to go back and meet up with her on the First Light or whatever the ship's called.
Yep.
And instead it flies off and we never even see a close-up of his face.
Yeah, he has no reaction.
There's no thing like, he told me not to trust anybody, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Oh, that bitch. No, it's just, that scene's over.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we have
I have to
scene.
imagine that some of these things are rewrite things, right? Mm-hmm. They have to be.
Yeah. And then we have another scene playing cards because we have to show him winning the Millennium Falcon.
Right, because instead of doing it in the first game, because you would have expected that,
Yep.
we trapped ourselves into having to do it again. But
Yep.
at least it ends on kind of an up note, I guess.
I guess so. But
he never seemed that down to begin with. He needed a win, so to speak.
No.
This is the girl that he grew up with. They're in love, and they got this
Right.
hyperdrive fuel, and they gotta get it.
Right.
No, it's over. Twist. Oh, it's a twist. So that was Ray Park.
Ray Park?
That was playing Darth Maul, the guy that originally played Darth Maul.
Good.
And I was like, was it? Then I remembered, yeah, that was 20 years ago.
That's true. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, people get older. So I don't know if he's still kicking and flipping, but that was definitely Ray Park.
Wow.
Anything else to say before we wrap this up?
I just wanted to say that the twist of... I can't remember the character's name.
I will help you out, maybe.
Who had the mask on, the pirate.
In rest vest or something like
yes.
Something like that.
And they take the mask off, and it's a young girl.
Yeah.
Who's got red hair and freckles.
Yeah. Like Charlie Brown likes.
Right. The young redhead girl. Yeah. And didn't really...
No stage screen presence.
No, and the big twist that it was a young girl didn't really have much effect on
someone who loves you.
Rest of the the movie or that character or you know.
Yep.
It's not like, oh, she's such a great negotiator that like she really negotiated that.
Nope. And if you are somebody who, here's what we want to do. We apparently want to raise a bunch of money to start / support, still not clear, a fight against the Empire, which is hurting cut the tongues out of all of our people or whatever.
Yep.
So instead of starting a GoFundMe, what we're going to do is we're going to try to rip off smugglers, gangsters, bounty hunters who are in the middle of ripping other people off.
Yep.
Because that's going to go real well. Mm-hmm. That's their whole plan.
Yeah. It's a great plan, guys.
Wow. And, that's another thing that's like, I don't know, what do we do? Let's have the weird guy in the mask turn out to be, it's a little girl.
Yep.
And Willow's with her.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Underbaked.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Still fun. Still liked it.
Yep.
Hope.
Oh, my gosh.
The year, 1987.
Yes.
Ooh, Twins win the World Series for the first time.
Oh.
But it's not about that. San Francisco, the homeless community, is full. And
yes.
Give me a break. And times are bad. Times are good for some. For the Gordon Geckos of the world. But for the Marcuses of the world.
Yep.
The Marcus Lopezes of the world. Not so great.
No.
You're on the street. Your parents are dead.
That's right.
But then you're approached by a shadowy man and some punk kids who give you an offer.
Yep.
Become an assassin. Attend an academy. Mm-hmm. They'll teach you to be an assassin.
Yes.
And the only price, your life. Your soul.
Yes.
It's Deadly Class. Mm-hmm. 2014 book from Image Comics, written by Rick Remender, penciled by Wes Craig, both of whom are delightful individuals that we had a chance to talk to. Definitely a review or an interview with one of them, right?
I think so.
Anyway, look at our 2015 Emerald City shows for that. Deadly Class. You had not read this previously.
No, I hadn't.
This was a pretty big deal when this came out. There was a lot of buzz. It's still going now, I think.
Okay.
But kind of in that on and off way that a lot of Remender stuff is, because he works on 14 different books.
Right.
And before you, if you can, cast back, before you had begun reading Deadly Class, what did you think Deadly Class was going to be about?
Well, you had kind of told me what it was about.
Like Harry Potter for murderers?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good pitch.
Or like X-Men for murderers or that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, let's bring Harry Potter in, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, that works, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think? We read the first 6 issues, which is basically the first trade.
Yep.
In the Remender style.
Yep.
What did you think?
I really liked the art. I thought that art was really cool.
Yes.
Very stylistic. I really liked I thought the story was pretty good too.
Why don't you tell us a little about the story, if you can?
Sure.
In case people haven't read this.
Marcus is a kid who's homeless on the streets, like you said, and I think it's Professor Lynn or...
Yeah.
Okay.
Headmaster
Lynn. And the kids give him a chance to be a part of this academy where you get to learn how to be an assassin.
Right. The King's Dominion School of the Deadly Arts.
Yes. And he's not so sure about it at first, but then he decides it's better than the life that he's been living. And I think Saya kind of talks him into it, if I remember right.
Yeah, she sort of sponsors him because everybody at this is sort of like a John Hughes movie meets a John Woo movie.
Yes.
And I'm positive that has been said through Gumshoes by Rick Remender himself.
Probably.
It's like a John Hughes movie meets a John Woo movie. And so, and Saya is, every kid there, except for Marcus, it seems, is the scion of some crime family or some syndicate. Mm-hmm. They're all like junior gangsters and murderers and terrorists and stuff like that.
Punks.
Yeah, right. So you don't have Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw. You've got the kids of the Italian gangsters and the kids of the, triad, like Chinese mafia type kids. And the Russian KGB kid. And
and they're like cliques.
Yeah, right.
It's like
it's John Hughes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, by the way, and I'm sure you remember this part, but the narrative calls that out.
Yes,
because there's a part where Marcus, who of course doesn't fit into any of those groups, in the grand tradition of a Ducky or Anthony Michael Hall character or whatever,
sure.
He goes out and finds all the rejects, and they're talking about how like, man, screw John Hughes.
Right.
John Hughes movies suck.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, I think you're reading the subtext. We're going to go back to the text. That's on the other side of the page.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And he really wants the kids at the school to like him.
Yeah.
So he's trying to impress these people in certain ways.
In a way, yeah.
Like, they get this assignment. They have to kill this one guy who is a homeless person. And they kind of find out some information about where he lives, but he ends up actually killing another homeless person instead. And he gets in trouble from Master Lin about it because he wasn't supposed to kill this guy.
Right.
And he kind of failed the assignment because he didn't kill the guy he was supposed to, and he killed somebody else.
Right.
And him and I think
that is the driest, most bare bones recounting of what actually happens
right.
in the narrative. He knows these people because he lived on the streets with them before coming to the academy or the school. And so they receive in the assassination class the task to go kill somebody who deserves it.
Yes.
No criteria is given, but somebody who deserves it. And so he and Willie, who's like the son of like a famous gangbanger or something like that, kind of bond, and they're lab partners for this project. And they go out, and Marcus basically says, "There's this guy who people used to tell me about when I was on the streets, who was in Nam, and he torched villages and killed people, and he was a horrible guy. So nobody's going to miss this guy."
Right.
And they go out to find this guy, and it turns out it's a guy who Marcus had given his shoes to before.
Yes.
Who is clearly
crazy.
Yeah, he is not well mentally, and Marcus kind of takes pity on him. Then they go back to this other guy who told them where that guy was, and they start talking to him and sharing a meal with him, and Marcus kind of snaps and murders this guy in cold blood, like bashes his brains in.
Yes.
Like Woody Harrelson. And he and we don't know why. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And there's this kind of pale justification given where it's like, I think all the stories that he was telling about Vietnam, about that other guy, were actually his stories.
Right.
We never really get any depth or any follow-up on that.
No.
We just know that Marcus ostensible hero of this book
Yes.
is just snapped and just murdered some guy.
Yep.
And we are left to deal with that. And he's left to deal with that as we move into the second phase of the trade paperback of this story arc where they go to Vegas to forget about this and take a lot of drugs.
Yes.
All the drugs.
All the drugs.
And,
all the acid, at least.
And I think it's issue 5 where Marcus is basically just rolling the entire time.
Yeah.
Is where Wes Craig's stuff really gets to shine. Wes Craig has one of those artistic styles that it's like, it's not super detailed, but there's a lot of nuance in what he does. Mm-hmm. And also, I will look up who does the colors because I forgot the guy's name. It's Lee Lowridge.
Okay.
Those are inherent to the work, I think, because, like I said, Craig's drawings, his art style is very nuanced, but the color palette does a lot for this book.
I would agree with
and
that.
Usually it's very muted. They sort of pick a tone and go with it.
Yep.
But when we get to the Vegas acid-like sections, it's
super
crazy
bright
colors,
and colorful.
and it's all, and there's some great transitions where he's so this story arc starts with him being grilled by what looks like a cop, and we're like, oh, this is bad. And then we kind of keep flashing back to that, but there's parts where he's remembering being in a hotel room, and then he's in the interrogation room with a cop, and there's a TV on behind the cop, and he sees himself on the TV in the hotel room, and then we switch to him in the hotel room watching himself in an interrogation room, and then the TV goes off and he sees his face, but like a skull in the.
Yes.
It's just like the visuals are great.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
really good. Should I continue?
They stay at the Circus Hotel.
Right. Yeah.
Which is part of the madness for this.
And is part of, and again, John Hughes, and also, that sure sounds a lot like something that happens in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Right.
And you're right. I think we call this an homage.
Yep.
And specifically, there is a panel where they're in the hallway of a hotel room, and there's a guy with a cigarette holder, and a male pattern baldness. And I think they know what they're doing with that.
Sure.
I mean, it's an homage. It's not ripped off. It's an homage.
Yeah.
And the problem with this is that Marcus likes this girl, Saya.
Yeah.
Who is the daughter of a Yakuza, Damayo. And but there's this girl named Maria, who's the she's sponsored by this drug cartel family who likes him. And so this sort of triangle where nobody exactly knows what's going on kind of builds up. And Maria's boyfriend is Chico, and he is like this, probably my one complaint about this is that I don't know if I wouldn't call it stereotyping necessarily. I'd call it archetyping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's kind of stereotyping.
Kind of.
I mean, I would assume there are drug cartels, and if Pablo Escobar is going to send his kid to a murder academy, the kid's going to be Hispanic, or Latinx. I don't think he's going to wear a bandana and a flannel shirt with only the top button necessarily.
Right.
But it's a visual medium and it's shorthand, so I'm willing to give it a pass. But if somebody tells me that I shouldn't, I'm willing to not give it a pass.
Yeah.
But just to tell everybody apart, because they've all got round heads, it helps.
Yeah.
But Chico follows them to Vegas because he is. Now we are getting the stereotyping. Guess what?
Jealous.
He's an abusive boyfriend.
And
who's jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lucy can't be on the show. Yep. And so he starts a problem with that. And we're not even getting into the other character who is sort of stalking them, who, since you haven't read past this point, you don't know much about.
I don't.
I'll tell you right now. Here's the character's name. It's F-Face.
Wow.
But with 3 more letters. That's the character's name.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Because Rick Remender thought that he was Garth Ennis for a second, I guess.
Gosh.
And they have a shared history, him and Marcus, that if you read on, you will find out more about.
Yep. They were in a boys' home together.
We meet him having sex with a goat.
Yeah.
That's how we are introduced to this character.
Yep.
So we know he's on
the up and up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now that we've kind of run down the whole thing, what'd you think?
I liked it.
Yeah, I was going to say, and if you say I liked it, I'm going to slash your throat with a fan like Maria.
Hey.
You said I liked it. So let me give a fan. Hold on. Where is it?
I did like it. I thought it was, it was an interesting story. They got some complications, got some accidental deaths, some...
What do you think about the whole enchilada, the whole mise en scène, though? Because this is very much... You can say something is in the 80s because you want to draw leg warmers, or you can say something is in the 80s because your character is a child refugee from Nicaragua
Yes.
who wants to kill President Reagan,
Yes.
specifically because President Reagan pulled funding for mental health. This is all real. This all happened really in the real world, which meant that they just basically let all the mental patients out on the street,
Right.
and then our homeless population exploded. There's a lot of social commentary here, not to mention the fact that, of course, Reagan's presidency was wrapped up in the Iran-Contra arms deal, and the Contras fought the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, Marcus's home country.
Yep.
So Reagan really is responsible for pretty much all of Marcus's problems, which is why he decides he wants to kill him.
Right. I mean, that's pretty huge.
Is that social commentary, or is it just social set dressing? Write that down if nobody has said that before.
I think that's social commentary. But it's kind of social set dressing too, you know?
Why not both?
It can be both. I mean, because there's a lot of stuff that happens that isn't necessarily because it's in the 80s. But there's a lot of stuff that is referential to the 80s. Like when Marcus is freaking out on his acid trip, he catches a Cyndi Lauper video and
And
she's
Robotech
doing
and...
She Bop, you know?
Right, yeah, She Bop.
So a lot of the music references throughout are 80s music references.
I almost feel, and this is all from, he's just playing from his childhood,
Yes.
Remender. But I almost feel like Remender read like a Kieran Gillen comic and went, I can do that.
Right.
Yeah. There's also a lot of discussion of mental illness. And
Yes.
I'll tell you, as somebody who has read all the way through, that doesn't go. In fact, that's the only thing that really stays. Because we get the typical Remender inner monologue from the character about how I always had to be like this, living on the streets.
Right.
Thought my life could be different.
Right.
But never knew. By my body betrayed. Whatever.
Right.
In the sort of Neo Kirby style. And but he a lot of his problems come from his... I mean, the guy's not on the level psychologically.
Right.
Who would expect him to be?
Right.
But his problems become a big part of the book going forward, and that's present here too. I mean, he talks about having talked to a psychologist or whatever in the orphanage or group home that he was in.
Yes.
But he's got a lot of anxiety. It could just be the insecurity of a teenager, but it causes him to lash out and make stupid decisions. And he's always, instead of the usual, fear agent sort of inner monologue that I described previously, it's a lot of him wrestling with himself about his own thoughts and feelings and his motivations and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, he's supposed to be smart, and so I don't have a problem with this, but is he like a gutter punk or is he a smart kid? Because there are a couple parts where he's having a conversation with, I don't know, Billy or somebody, and that stuff becomes audible and not just internal monologue. He's talking about, my anxieties mean that I repress them. And it's like, this kid's was he reading, psychology books on the street? Now I feel like the author's talking through him a little too much, He's a little too self-aware for a 14-year-old.
Right.
But I understand what the problems are and why this, motivates him to join a school for murderers.
Yeah, I know.
Which, getting back to the premise, it's fascinating. If this was the image of the 90s, Todd McFarlane would hear School for Murderers, set you off running, and it would just be yelling no feet and a lot of speed lines. And then every week somebody betrays somebody else and kills somebody, and this is more than that.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
And you're not supposed to kill another student.
No.
And Maria accidentally kills Chico.
He had to come.
I know he did, but he was an asshole. But
Yeah.
Still,
that's, we were talking earlier in the movie, and we're out of spoiler territory now, so I'll be careful, but we were talking earlier in the movie about earning your death. He earns his death.
Yeah, he does.
In a way that, and we don't spend a lot of time with that character, minor spoiler, is not going to be a real problem going forward in the way that you think. So, time to die. We need it motivated for why our characters want to kill him. But if he just wants to scare his girlfriend into just loving him and not going out with anybody else,
right?
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
But instead, for over 6 to 8 pages, he just turns into the Terminator.
Yeah.
And they have I don't feel bad at all. Like,
he stabs Billy in the stomach.
He hurts every one of them in some way.
Yeah.
And then they kill him, and I'm like, all right, good.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have felt a little more like, oh wow, they really crossed a line. Maybe they could have tied him up and brought him back to Master Lin.
Right.
But he's literally going to, he even says, I'm going to kill all of you.
Yeah.
And they're like, I guess we're going to kill you?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sign off. I sign off on that. Sure.
I mean, he kicks Marcus
47 times.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So.
And he aces 3 cops and a lady who's just working the register at the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. He's a mad dog.
Yeah.
You put him down. But why? How could somebody like that? And sure, we live in this. That's one thing that I'm not sure that the series ever really gets right. Just speaking from perspective of having read ahead, because it is later on the fact that a institution like this, where everybody is a murderer, liar, or killer, how can it even function?
Yeah,
that does become a problem later.
Okay.
But at this point, it's like, if everybody at the school is like this guy, why aren't they all dead? Why haven't they all killed each other?
Right.
Because all you have to do is just
look at somebody the wrong way,
and then it's like, I'm gonna kill every one of you, pendejos. It's like, what?
Right.
Yeah. But it worked out.
Yeah.
I have to say, when you can talk in a second about sort of, well, I guess you said you liked it, but maybe final thoughts. I've read these 6 issues probably about a dozen times at this point, and it's probably one of my favorite 6-issue runs in modern comics.
Okay.
For good or bad, the story definitely goes other new places as the series goes on, and I think the drive of it gets diluted. It's still a fun book to read. I still want to see where it goes, but it never really matches the thrust of these first 6 issues.
Sure.
Where you get a hot premise, you get social commentary with a real world connection, you get the amazing acid sequence in Vegas. Everything is just boom, 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 boom. It's just all clicking, you know. And I don't think that the book ever really lives up to this again, but it is a great start for a series that will hopefully become a good sci-fi show.
Yeah.
Talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Did you have anything else to say about the comic?
Like I said, I like the art. I like Maria's sugar skull makeup.
Archetype.
Yeah, I know.
Not stereotype.
I know. I like Saya's tattoos as well.
Yeah.
Her arm sleeve tattoos.
Do we see that she's missing a finger in these?
I don't think so.
Go back and count all her fingers.
Okay.
She's missing a finger.
All right.
And John Hughes sucks, man. SyFy, it's been announced, and there is a trailer available online. You can go watch it. We're going to be talking about it right now. Has ordered this to series with the Russo brothers producing. Yes. I'm not going to give you too much granular detail because I don't have it in front of me. I don't think I know anybody who's in the thing, except for I know Russell Wong, who plays Master Lin.
Yep.
That guy's having a great couple years.
Yes, he is.
It looks to be a fairly straightforward, I would guess, adaptation of the first trade paperback. We see Saya on a motorcycle. We see Mr. Lin drinking some tea. We see some sugar skulls and some fans. So it looks like that's what we're doing.
Which is good.
How close do you think they're going to stick to the comic?
I think they're going to probably stick pretty closely to a comic. I don't know if we're going to see F-Face having sex with a goat or not, but
You can say F on SyFy now.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe we won't.
Maybe you will.
I'll tell you right now, without any spoilers, there's some changes that are going to be made because you have an actor and they have a contract. So as this series goes on, don't get attached to some of these characters.
Okay.
Because they're all going to go. Imagine Harry Potter if Ron gets shot in the face in the middle of book 2.
Oh my gosh.
And Hermione gets her head ripped off like somewhere in the middle of Order of the Phoenix. But you can't do that with Hollywood actors. They have contracts. So we'll have to rearrange some stuff. Something that I am sad to have lost and I think they could have avoided was the visual style.
Okay.
I don't like the it's not hell. Sin, not Sim City. Sin City movies.
Yes.
That's a green screen. We'll just draw it in behind us.
Right.
It's all in one color or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was anything you were going to do that on, this would be it.
Yeah, that's true.
Seeing stills or seeing video of Deadly Class, the show, my biggest disappointment is like, it doesn't look like Wes Craig.
That's true.
And you'd have to, really visually stylize it to get there, but I think it'd be worth it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that from the Russos. You're going to get the Marvel style, slightly desaturated. Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
We're in the rain or something like that. That's just to be expected. It's not bad. It's just been done over and over again. And I would have liked to have seen them really try to. I'd love to see what they're going to do with the Vegas sequence.
Yes.
They'll do something there. But I would have liked to have seen them push in some direction. And we don't know. Maybe it hasn't been post-processed yet. Maybe they'll do something along those lines, but it doesn't look like they're going to.
It doesn't look that way, no.
Yeah.
I am excited it is in the Russo brothers' hands, though, because I feel like they're very, very good at what they do.
Are they the new Wachowskis?
They might be.
I mean, the old Wachowskis are still around.
Yeah, they are. Sense8. Yeah. I don't know. I think they really have a good handle on comic book movies, so I think that they're really good at adapting comics, and hopefully that will remain true for Deadly Class.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty positive about it for the most part. Like you said, would have liked to seen a little bit more stylized, but
it's tough to, and we know this because of movies like Hope, like Rogue One, is that it's tough to nail, the mood of something.
Yeah.
Especially when you're changing media or media, and I don't have faith in them to keep the detachment of the comic book.
Okay.
Because crazy things happen in the comic book.
Yes.
But in the way that, and this happens in the Vegas sequence, in the way that when you get messed up on drugs, there's this feeling of sort of watching yourself, like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Like when he's in the elevator and he's like, I gotta say something. They're gonna hate me, And then he says something stupid and he's like, why'd you say that? Who cares what I said?
Right.
The whole book has that sort of remove. Like we're seeing Marcus, maybe from the future or maybe just outside of time, comment on what he's doing. And it's hard to do that, or at least nobody wants to do that with a TV show. A TV show, you're right in it. We're following this kid. He's right there. He's riding a motorcycle. They're jumping away from cops. And there's not this like, I bet you're wondering how I got into this situation. I'm not like that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think they're going to lose that, and it's just going to it's going to miss the forest for the trees, because the trees are sexy ninja ladies on motorcycles and like, oh man, he's got shot in the head. Oh, it's got a guy who's having sex with a goat. It's like that's not what it's about.
Right.
It's about disaffectation. It's about what John Hughes movies are about.
Yep.
Which also happen to evolve sexy girlfriend and all the things that are in them.
Yes.
The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club is about 6 kids, or is it 5? It's 5 who are in detention, but it's really about each one of them, finding connection with people that are nothing like them.
Exactly.
Screw John Hughes. That just stands out so much now to me. I always wondered why that was there before. And now I get it. Let's talk real quick about the cast. Of course, Benedict Wong is Master Lin.
Yep.
Everybody else looks, and at this point, good. But they all look racially appropriate.
That's good.
Except Benjamin Wadsworth is like the least Hispanic name ever.
Yes.
He's playing Marcus, but apparently he's from the Valley.
Okay.
I don't know.
All
I
right.
think I spent too much time looking to see at his Instagram posts. I was like, I don't see any tacos. Trying to figure out if this kid was Hispanic or not.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I mean, probably.
Sure.
I guess if you can't tell.
Yeah. I don't know.
No! It's appropriation. I mean, honestly, if you can't tell.
Yeah. I don't know.
You're scared to have an opinion on this.
I am afraid to have an opinion on this. You are correct.
If Alexander El Fadig, whatever his name is cool playing a Indian British guy and he's, Persian or whatever,
right,
then well, fine.
Right.
If he doesn't care.
Yeah.
But anyway, they all look real young. They all look pretty right for the roles. And so, we'll have to see.
Okay.
But
looks promising.
yes, I look forward to it being canceled halfway through its second season.
Oh, boy.
SyFy. Well, that's it. Pretty painless.
Yeah.
It's always good to have... I feel good. We said good things about things.
You did.
So this is what this is how people feel all the time. Wow. I think I hate it.
You hate it?
No, I like it. I'm glad to have good things to say.
Yeah.
Are we going to have something good to say next week?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's we're kind of going in and out. We're moving and changing and rearranging at the Just Enough Trope Network, and so got a lot of things in the fire. So we may or may not be back next week. I guess that's not much of a promise. Stay subscribed. Stay on those feeds, and if we're back, you'll definitely see us. We'll definitely be posting on the website and on our social medias at Facebook and Twitter. So look for us and our outputs there. While you're trying to subscribe to that stuff, check us out on Apple Podcasts, which I don't feel bad anymore. If you say iTunes, people know what you're talking about.
That's true.
Also, you know what the URL for Apple Podcasts is?
I don't know if I want to know.
www.itunes.com. So when you guys commit, I'll commit. But anyway, like I said before, if you subscribe, you know exactly when you get a show and it's ready and it comes right to you. Also, if you could leave us a review on iTunes, that would be just fantastic. We'd really appreciate it. Here's a review. When I came to King's Dominion School of the Deadly Arts, I did not expect that my son would be murdered by his classmate. 1 star. Bad news. Not like that, but we're kind of like that. But just give us a review because we like hearing from the fans. Also, give us a rating. It's probably the most important part. That's how the algorithm works. That's how we get to move up in the ranks. When you give us a high rating, then we get up there, we get exposed to more listeners. They go, what are they talking about? They like this solo, huh? Let's find out more about that.
Right.
So give us 5 blasters that Woody Harrelson just throws to you, and I guess that's your blaster now. There's 5 of those. The origin of the blaster.
Yeah.
And again, I asked the question, why do it? I'm kind of taking a crap where I snack here because I didn't want them to do it anyway. But if you're going to do it, I want you to do something.
Right.
And you kind of decided to do
nothing.
So don't make that decision. Give us 5 stars. That's a good decision.
Yes.
Like I said, hopefully we'll be. I have a good feeling. I think we'll be back. And if we are coming back, we'll actually announce on social media beforehand what we're going to talk about, so we can give you guys a heads up if you want to watch, read, snort, or do whatever it is so you can keep up with us for our next show. But stay tuned, and we're signing off until then. I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.